Hi, Greg.
Hi. Don't mind me. I'm just bitching at AMD's drivers turning back on things I turned off.
Yeah. Nope. We due to a story time that was not recording material where we're doing one of these. Um, but I do have story time. I don't know if you have story time. I didn't ask. Maybe you
Uh,
have story time.
Not really. I mean, the main thing is uh the new guy at work. Watching him cook is an absolute train wreck.
Has he never cooked before?
Oh no, he had 4 days of training, and he spent the entire time making excuses to go away to, go outside and smoke.
Ah,
Or or would start talking to somebody, or pretty much do anything but learn the fucking job he was there for.
right.
So it is such a train wreck watching him. It was his second day solo cooking, and it looked like they just tossed him into the chicken pit and not train him at all. Never mind the fact that he had 4 days of training.
Yeah. I could totally understand getting a bit distracted under kind of normal circumstances or whatever. But yeah, just like running away and not doing your job, not
Hmm.
learning the training.
Let's put it this way: uh, the I had him 2 days, and Julie had him 2 days. All
Hmm.
right. My first day with him, he came in the middle of the shift, so yo, uh, it it's understandable that he didn't get everything.
Yeah.
Uh, I've told you before when I'm cooking chicken, there's three major rounds to do, and that's pretty much it. And he came in. First round was already cooking, so and he's new there. He knows one of the other people, so he's there catching up. Okay, fine. But the second time I had him, which was his last training day before solo, you would think that you would be there. You would want to be taking notes. You'd want to be paying attention.
Yeah.
He clocks in and just kind of wanders around for a while, and comes to the deli like 20 minutes after the shift starts. And it just pissed me off. You know?
Yeah. I feel like if I didn't know you, I would appreciate working with you, like based on how, like, when I have worked like retail jobs and things in the past, of like, I show up, I want to just like, I'm there to do my job. So
Oh,
I will do my job.
let's put it this way. My shift starts. I'm at the deli, uh, ready to go. There's no, kind of wandering around doing my thing. I'm there. I'm going.
Yeah.
To be on time is to be late.
Yeah. Yeah. When I used to work at Lowe's or when I worked at Pathway Press, like in their shipping department, like
Mm-hmm.
I showed up, I was there to do my job. And like, I mean, I'd be nice to people. It's not like I wasn't like, it's not like I was an asshole, but like I showed up, I did my job. And then like later when there was breaks or downtime or whatever, like
Yeah.
fine, but like when I get there first thing, it's like, okay, what am
Mm-hmm.
I doing? What am I looking at for today? What do I need to take care of? And then just like do that.
Yeah.
And I'm human. I wasn't always like perfect or whatever, but like showing up and wandering around for 20 minutes before,
Mm-hmm.
after my shift had started, that just like bugs me. On a personal level, it bugs me to do stuff like that.
Yeah. And then I say you're late, and he said, no, I got here on time. I was the Kroger has a thing where they round to the nearest top or quarter of the hour. The
Yeah.
top, the bottom, and the 15s before and after. So if you're 6 minutes late and you clock in, you're technically on time.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, I was I clocked in 8:35, and I'm like, dude, the shift starts at 8:30, and it's a busy day. I'm thinking this. I don't say it, but uh,
Yeah.
I don't think anybody really likes working with them.
Yeah, I hate that rounding thing. Like if you like really work it, like
Hmm.
yes, if you're on, but like if you do that, then they'll get on to you,
Yeah.
for doing something like that. So effectively, it just winds up stealing time from people because
Yep.
most people are going to get there, 5-ish minutes before their actual shift starts. They're going to clock in and do their thing, but then they're not going to get paid for those 5 minutes.
Oh, if I clock in 5 minutes early, I'm not doing a goddamn thing until time starts.
Yeah. I mean, you're right.
I'll go to the bakery office where I drop off my lunch, get my apron on and that sort of thing. Yeah, I'm not doing active work.
Yeah. I get like if a time clock like just rounds to the minute, that's fine. Like but that doesn't, but maybe even to the nearest like 5 minutes. But rounding to the nearest quarter of an hour, feels, they're trying to squeeze as much as they can into the
Well, people
margins.
also fucking abuse it because you'll see like a massive exodus like 6 minutes before the top of the hour, whenever like day shift ends or that sort of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, for the longest time at my clinic, they had like a legit old school like
Mhm.
time clock where you had like a card and it punched the card. Which on the one hand, like, okay, fine, it's old, whatever. But on the other hand, it's very cool. But it was like, to the minute tracking. And as soon as they like introduced the system, like upgraded everything and they set up like a little kiosk in the break room and started using the like 15-minute rounding system. It was like 1 week of people doing basically what they had done before. They'd get there, they'd clock in, they'd start working, and then whenever they got finished and it was getting close to 5, they'd just go clock out. They did it for 1 week, and then they all got bitched at. They're like, "Oh, you're leaving early." It's like we're getting here early. We're putting in our time, and they're like, "No, the time clock rounds, and you're stealing time." And then so then they stopped doing that. It's dumb corporate bullshit. It's all dumb corporate
Mhm.
bullshit. Which leads into my story time. So I guess I've talked about this. I've talked about almost the entirety of this to you. Maybe been a thing here or there that I've forgotten, and then of course the most recent details that happened you don't know anything about yet.
Mhm.
But just as like a summary in case somebody listening to this, because I don't know what is or isn't on official recording stuff. So we'll take it from the top, and I will hit sort of the highlights for the opening few bits of this, so we're not bogged down in details that aren't totally relevant to today. But
Mhm.
I'm leaving my clinic that I work at to start my own practice. I've been doing this a little bit along, and back in April, May was when I really started like doing some work on my own, like figuring stuff out, investigating like services to do like note taking and insurance billing and things like that. And then over the course of the last couple of months, I have been like
Mhm.
slow rolling into building this practice. I dropped down to working 4 10s at the clinic where I was at instead of doing 5 8s, doing 4 10s. I've been seeing people a couple of days a week, once on Sunday and once on Wednesday in my own practice, like building that up. And a few weeks ago, it was at the beginning of July, um, I told them, like the center director, um, that I was leaving so that she could communicate with the regional person, like her boss, and we could create like a little exit strategy. Like I wanted to drop down like to part time and stay for a month. We kind of negotiated back and forth, and my final day was in October. So I guess I guess they've got 2 months notice, I guess is a way that you can look at that. But I'm going to be dropping down to part time in August, so next week, and then I'll be dropping another day in September, and then I'll
Okay.
be done October the 3rd. And really, I just did that because it's like that's a Friday, so like that in my brain felt good. One of the things that I had done in the background is I had told, and I don't know how relevant this is to the current day's story. Like I wouldn't be surprised if they were being a little vindictive, but I digress. One of the things that I did was I informed a few of my clients what I was doing before I told the clinic. I needed some people that like I could test their insurance billing, that I could like test kind of my entire setup. And what better people to contact about this than some of my clients that have kind of been with me the longest, that I like trust the most, like. And so I did. I informed them. Before I did this, also, like, I double checked my contract. I do not have a non-compete. I never signed a non-compete. And in my contract that I did sign, there is no solicitation clause. So I'm 100% in the green. I spoke to a few clinicians, like, colleagues in the field before I told some of my clients. And a couple of like it was pretty like well divided. Like the older folks were like, "Don't do that. That's horribly unprofessional." And the younger folks were like, "Yeah, absolutely, you should do that. Fuck your, your community mental health center. Like they will screw you over." And I have been screwed over by prior clinics that I've worked at, telling them that I was leaving, and give them 2 weeks notice or whatever, and then they just like send me home. The last clinic that I worked at, volunteer behavioral health, I actually gave them 4 weeks notice, because my plan was to like, communicate with my clients where I was going. If they wanted to follow me to my new clinic, which is where I'm at now, they could. And I told them on Tuesday that I would be leaving, and they told me to pack my shit by Friday and get out. So this was like during COVID. I had to drive all the way to Chattanooga and take back my like company issued laptop and other things. But that's, that's beside the point. So that, back to like more present day, like the week after, not even a week, it was just a few days after I had informed the clinic, my center director, what was going on. Somebody called, and I did find out who it was, and it wasn't one of the people that I originally told. And, I think what happened is that, like, I live in a very small community. People know each other, people talk. And so I think, like, friend of a friend or a Facebook post or something like that, somebody found out that I was leaving that I didn't actually tell. And so they come in and they're like, "Hey, when's Jared's last day going to be?" And everyone was like, "What?" Like, because my center director hadn't told the office staff yet. And that, this like bit me in the ass a little bit. They were pissed about that. And, fair enough. I'm not like upset at them for being pissed at me about that. I took a risk, I got caught, so to speak. But, they were upset about that. And my boss came in, or well, she's not really my boss. It's weird. The chain of command is like, even though she's the center director, it's more like she's like the safety inspector on some kind of a job site. She's not like my direct supervisor, but in certain situations she can take action. So like if I like am doing something really bad, she can write me up or whatever. But typically speaking, I get my direction on what I'm supposed to do from the director of what's his title? The clinical supervision director. Like his name is Joseph. Typically, like if I have any major questions, I talk to Joseph, or if there's some like new directive on, best practice policies or whatever, like it comes from Joseph. It does not come from Anita, my center director. So she's not really my direct boss, but there are certain circumstances where she can step in and like do something, like to me or with me. And like I've always been nice. If she asks me for something, like I try to be helpful and nice and respectful to my coworkers. So she came and she was pissed at me. And she didn't yell at me in my office. We had she like wagged her finger at me. It was like, "I thought we were better friends, and I thought you respected me more than that." So I had a conversation with her that was like, "Hey, like this isn't personal. I totally understand like that you feel that way. I recognize that my actions have caused that. I'm not trying to weasel my way out of that, but this doesn't have anything to do with you directly. This is business. I've been screwed over by previous clinics before. Like, I don't think that you specifically would screw me over, but I don't trust your boss to not screw me over, or her boss to not do something that screws me over. I took a risk. It was acting in self-interest. I got caught. So be it. The consequences of that will be what they are. So she was pissed about that, but things seemed to like level out. That was like on a Wednesday or a Thursday. Friday was fine, a little weird. Then Monday, everything seemed fine. We go through a week, everything seems fine. I'm communicating with my clients. Hey, I'm going to be leaving this clinic. We can do different options for your treatment. If you want to stay here, there's another clinician here. If you want to come with me to my practice, you can. I can provide you with information. If you'd rather go like somewhere completely different, like I can help facilitate that too. And of course, most of these people are like, no, Jared, we want to stay with you. You've been, my therapist. You're very good. I want to go with you. 2 thumbs up. Awesome. So I've converted almost 100% of the people in my caseload that I've talked to. There have been a couple that have not wanted to for various reasons, and that's fine. But, I have so far pulled like 25 people off of my caseload where I'm at to come to my practice. So then, what day was it that I messaged you? It was one day last week. Thursday? It was Wednesday or Thursday last week. Center director and the office manager like come into my office, like barge into my office, like close the door behind them. And in my head, I'm like, oh fuck, what now? So they're like, you can't be. They're like, you can't be telling people about your practice. And I'm like, excuse me? They're like, you can't tell people about your practice. And they lay out this thing where they're like, with the handbook, they're like, you can't do this because this is a conflict of interest. I'm like, what are you talking about? And she's like, well, because it's your practice, there, you would be making money if these people come to you. And so it's a conflict of interest because it conflicts with the money that the clinic is going to be making if and I'm like, listen, there was not a non-compete in my contract. There's not a no solicitation clause. This is real thin. So the only way that you could prove that this like would do anything is if you could somehow prove that I was not providing people with options, that I was only telling them about what I was doing and expecting that they follow me. And that's not at all what I'm doing. Like it's like, and I've even been documenting like in my clinical documentation, because it's like in our ethical practices, you're not supposed to abandon clients. You're supposed to even have provisions for if you die, that you have some way to like have your clients get referred to somewhere else. Like, you're supposed to set that up with another clinician or a service that is like, hey, he died. So, we can get you set up over here to continue your therapy, or if you want to be done, that's fine. But like, you're supposed to have that in practice for if you die, or in place for if you die. So like, I'm, well within my ethical mandate. I'm not breaking any laws. And there's no way that they could prove that I was doing that because I'm not doing it. My documentation says like, therapist informed clients that he would be leaving and provided them options for their care, including private practice or referring to another clinician with the agency. Like, I don't remember exactly what I said, but it's like a paragraph that explains like exactly what I'm doing. And I've been copying and pasting it into every person's document at the very end because that's what I've been doing, is telling all of them this stuff. And they're like, well, you can't be telling people about your practice anymore. And I was like, I will not be doing that. I will not be doing what you have said. I will continue to tell people within, ethical guidelines and best practices what I'm doing. And you can't stop me. So then they gave me like what's called a corrective action in our system, which is like one step up or one step down from a write up. It's like, you officially get your wrist smacked. And if you get your wrist smacked enough times, then you get a write up. So I've gotten 2 of those. I got one of those. And then the next day I got one for improper use of clinic materials, improper use of clinic something. And I was like, what is this about? And they're like, well, you've been using the printer and the scanner for your own business. And like, honestly, if they like showed me something that was like, you printed this, you scanned this, I'd be like, okay, that was like, genuinely, that was a mistake. I'm sorry. Cause like, I print, I scan, I sign, I fax documents almost every day as part of, just as part of my job. And so I could 100% buy, like I screwed up, I printed off the wrong thing without thinking, and then I just filled it out and went about my day. But they just said it. And I asked like, well, can you tell me like which document? Like, can you show me like, and like, basically, it's like, I could believe that I did this. I just don't know which one that I did. I'd like to see it. And they were like, no, we just know that you did it. And I was like, okay, fine. I see what this is. So Then yesterday, I hear from one of my clients, who I see her daughter. I walk up front. They call me and they're like, "Hey, so and so's here. She wants you to come up front and talk to her for a minute before you take her daughter back." I'm like, "Okay, that's fine." And then her kid's like 9 or 10, so I'm thinking like school's starting back. Maybe there's something going on, whatever. So I walk up front and I'm like, "Hey, what's up?" And she's like, "So what we're gonna do, like, please don't tell her that you're leaving. What we're gonna do is we're gonna see how well she does with the new guy before, um, before like we say anything." And like I didn't like I obviously they're looking for a therapist to replace me, but I hadn't heard anything about them like interviewing anybody or anything. And like they don't have to tell me, but like the amount of like gossip that goes through this place,
Mm-hmm.
like that I hear about, and like nobody can keep their mouth shut about anything. Um, it's like in my head I'm like, okay, so they deliberately are like trying to hide the fact that they're have already like found a replacement for me. And so, I didn't like let on anything. I just was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, that's fine." And like the the office manager was up there and like she was like, averting her eyes. And I'm like, "Okay, I see what's going on here." Again, I continue to see what's going on. So, then that was yesterday. So today during our staff meeting, because we have a staff meeting every Tuesday morning, um center director was like, "Yeah," like, and just like real quick was like, "Yeah, and also Josh starts Monday." And like several people were like, "What? Who's Josh?" Because we're also looking for a nurse. One of the nurses quit. Her last day is tomorrow, I think, or not tomorrow, Friday, Thursday or Friday this week is her last day. So they're also looking for a nurse. And they're like, "Oh, did you interview a nurse? Like, we didn't realize you were interviewing a nurse." And she's like, "No, he's the new therapist." And everybody was like, "Oh," like they have like big, big eyes. And then after the meeting, like Sarah like rushes into my office and closes the door, and she's like, "Did you get shit canned?" And I'm like, "Not
Yeah.
yet, not yet, but it's coming. I'm sure it's coming." Because Sarah's been on vacation, so she like knew that I had, given my notice and all that jazz, but like she's been gone the last week, so she didn't know anything about them like bitching about me, like talking to people about my clinic and them like writing me up twice or giving me 2 corrective actions or whatever. And so I'm like, "Not yet." And then I explained to her like what happened the past week. And she was like, "Oh yeah, they're getting ready to like let you go." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'm sure they are." Like even if none of the other stuff had happened, I don't know, like if they were like cannot believe how many people are coming with me, and it's just like maybe if we don't like tell, maybe if we get rid of him, we can stem the bleeding. But it's like I don't know. Like that's not going to work. I have all of these people's contact information. Like if you like kick me out the door, there's nothing that stops me from contacting them and being like, "Hey, Generations like kicked me out. I started my own practice. If you'd like to, come on over here, I can set you up in the system." Like there's nothing that stops me from doing that if they kick me out. And maybe they just think I wouldn't do it, but like fuck them, you know. So that is the drama saga that I have been experiencing the last 2 weeks. Um, Denise, the only good person, the only other good person there, uh, is like came into my office this evening and she was like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, what are they gonna do? Denise, fire me? Give me a bad reference? Oh, boo hoo. I'll just throw that in the trash since I'm, working for myself. And if I ever do decide to go work somewhere else, I just won't put them down for a reference. I'll put you guys individually, 2 psychiatric nurse practitioners, another therapist. Like, I don't need to put the center on there. Like, I've got professional references that I can give. I've got all of my colleagues that I have, built professional relationships with that I could use for professional references if I needed them. Like, I don't care. It sucks. I mean, I was not expecting them to be like great, but I was like hoping that they would be a little better. But it's just, the path that the company started on at the beginning of the year that like really started to push me in this direction is the kind of company that does this sort of stuff, is like really shitty to people when they leave. So that's the bulk of my venture. I came home and I was telling Katie about like what happened, and um today, and with some of the pettiness that I haven't really had a chance to talk to her about because of some other stuff that's going on, like because the thing that I told you about earlier that I didn't want to talk about on a recording is like that just happened today. There's some other stuff that's been going on that's like a little bit like smaller in scope, that has kind of like had us busy, and we haven't been able to like talk much about it. So we talked about it, and she was like, "Why don't you just quit?" And I was like, "Because I'm a petty, spiteful bitch. Like I'm gonna malicious compliance the shit out of them for however many days I've got left there. Plus, I want all my PTO paid out. I'm pretty sure if I left, they'd find some way to not give me that. I've earned that shit, dog." So that's my story.
Woo.
There will probably be updates in the future.
Fun times.
Yeah, it's so fascinating to me. Like this is an industry full of like highly educated, like professional people, and they're human. People make mistakes, et cetera, et cetera. But every person that I know who has worked in the community mental health portion of the mental health field has stories similar, exactly like or similar to mine, or even worse. And I just like, it's just crazy to me that like we live in a society, in a system where that is just the accepted norm, because there's no like worker protections, there's no anything in place that prevents this kind of like unethical behavior from companies, and sort of retaliatory behavior from companies, and in fact encourages it, so that they can create environments where that they are protected from action, legal like potential legal action taken out by individuals who were former employees of the company. It just it baffles me. Like, I mean, it doesn't. I've grown up in these here United States, but also like it still feels so crazy to me. I will never accept that as like the norm that it should be.
That's why unions are so goddamn important.
Yes. There are no, at least not in my area, no like therapy unions. Like there's, I'm a member of a couple of professional organizations, but it's not the same. They don't have the same kind of power that a union would.
Yeah, what kind of drives me nuts that people shit talk unions, but then unions are the reason why we're not working like 80 hours a week.
Yeah. Yep. I would 100% believe that they would like work me more than 40 hours a week if I let them. There were many times where I would like come in and look at my schedule, and it would have, 14, 15, 16 people on it for the day. And I'd be like, absolutely not. And I'd start canceling people's sessions and like call them and be like, hey, they booked you in error. I'm very sorry about that. We can get you scheduled at this time. Like but like I had the balls to do that. And two, like I've just dared them for a long time to fire me. It would have been harder if they had just like fired me without any of this prep work in place. But, like, what are you going to do? I'm your licensed provider. Like, you're going to fire me on a whim, like with nothing. Like, yes, there are instances where I think 100% they would, like if I did something illegal, or I mean, sexual assault is illegal, but like, something like very serious that like warranted like immediate termination. 100% they would, and they should. But, for just me being like, I will not allow you to overbook my schedule. Like, what are you going to do? Deal with me changing it so that we see less people and you make less money, or fire me so that you make no money off of me. But I used to not be in a position where I could do that. Both like I didn't have the balls for it and I didn't have the professional credentials for it. So yeah. Fuck these here United States.
Right. Well,
Fucking yeah.
or at least for how long they survive, right?
Right. Speaking of fucking child abuse, the Epstein shit. God, I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't even know what the I don't even know what the current like narrative is. I've heard so many like sort of like rapid fire like excuses from the orange idiot. And it's
Mhm.
like, wait, what's the current story you're going from? I don't know which ones of these is the one that's like everything from like there's there is a list, but we're not going to release it because we don't need to there's not a list, to well there might be a list but it's not credible, to there are some credible parts, to I haven't talked to Jeffrey Epstein in years, to the reason I stopped talking to him was because he like hired my people, and then it seems like that the people that he hired were like underage girls that have like that were right in Trump's orbit for some reason. Like I don't fucking know. It's crazy. It feels so interesting to like I don't think like I'm so cynical. Like I don't think that this is gonna get him. I don't. I wish it would. I
Mhm.
don't think it will though, because what I think ultimately what's gonna happen is they are going to, with this whole like I don't know how to pronounce her name. I've heard it pronounced a bunch of different ways. Ghislaine or Ghislaine Maxwell. Like I've heard her
Mhm.
name pronounced several different ways. Um, with them coming back and offering her a conditional pardon, like I think she's going to give up some names so if they don't have to give out the whole list, and the names are
And
mostly going to be
yeah, they're mostly going to be Democratic. Oh,
yep.
Bill Clinton's definitely going to be on there no matter what.
And I mean honestly, like yeah, sure, like put those guys in jail, but also like put everybody in jail.
Hmm.
Like I don't mind holding the Democrats fucking accountable. I want everybody held accountable for that
Yeah.
shit. But so we'll get some names and there'll be some arrests made and some other things, and hopefully or not. I mean, I don't hopefully feel this, but what I'm hoping they're saying is like, and hopefully that means that they'll go away.
Hmm.
They'll go after the Democrats. And they can leave us alone so we can go back to molesting the money and molesting the children. And then we'll see if his base
Hmm.
is, because I feel like the Democrats and the left in general has just like dropped the ball on this, on like trying to hold them all
Yeah.
accountable, and it's been the fucking MAGA, the right wing base that has like really gone after this shit. So much of that narrative has been like played up by them over the years that it's like they're the dog that caught the car, you know? And the car
Hmm.
happens to be like a massive, far reaching child sex scandal.
Yeah. It turns out Pizzagate wasn't there was some credibility there after all, I guess.
Yep. There was some credibility to
Yeah.
Pizzagate. It just happened to be on Epstein's island.
It turns out it was an admission.
Yeah. But I would love to see the list. I want to know like who else on
Mhm.
the list. Because I'm sure that I'm sure there's a bunch of people on the list I'd look at and be like, oh yeah, absolutely. Of course they go to an island to have sex with children,
Mhm.
or, there was other stuff that happened on the island. I know it wasn't just like child sex trafficking, child
Mhm.
sex prostitution.
Mhm.
Um, that there were other like adults who were, kidnapped and held against their will for sexual purposes and other things like, but still, I would love to see who's on the list, because I bet there's a bunch of people that I'm going to go like, oh yeah, absolutely, of course they're on the list. But I'm curious to see the people that like it would surprise me to see their names on the list, you know. And I'm not sure, like off the top of my head, I'm not sure who that would be.
Mhm.
But
I have no idea myself. I I just want the full list out, you know.
yeah, oh yeah,
But
same.
you know he's all over that.
Oh yeah, I'm sure Trump
Yeah.
is in there multiple times. Um, Musk, Elon Musk, and his brother are on the list. I fully believe. I mean, really, there's a whole host of people who have rubbed shoulders with him. various political figures, royal family
Hmm.
members, Bill Gates, um, a whole bunch of billionaires just in general. But still, I'm wondering like if there's somebody that's going to be on the list that would surprise me. But it just sucks. It all sucks. All of this sucks. I hate it.
Oh, sorry. I was also. I, I realized that I did not have a docking computer on this ship, so I had to learn manual docking the hard way in Elite Dangerous.
Yeah. Thankfully, I think the manual docking is pretty forgiving. The
Yeah,
time limits are the
but I'm
biggest issue.
also I never took the ship out,
Yeah.
and
Do
on
you start?
controls I'm not used to.
Do you get a docking computer in like the starter ship?
Yeah,
Oh, a long, long time ago, you did not. I always used the docking computer when I was running freighters. Um, it does take up a slot, so you couldn't quite haul as much cargo. But to just do runs back and forth for
hmm.
hours, I took the docking computer. That's perfect time to get a snack, go to the bathroom, start looking at stuff to plan the next part of the route.
Well, I'm getting a docking computer now.
Yeah. And some of those big ships, like the Lakon Type 9 and the Type 10, the Anaconda, like
Hmm.
they're difficult to park at the
You're not even
at
curious
stations.
what ship I'm flying to try to learn to park.
What ship are you flying? Oh wait, no, no, no. Let me guess. Um, let's see. You've mentioned before you've got the Cobras. You've been playing a bit.
Where the hell is
Um,
the?
do you have the like? My guess is it's either the Cobra Mark III or the Lakon Type 7. Which one is the smallest Lakon transporter? There's the Type 9, the Type 10, which is like the battle bus. Ooh, the Type 8, that's new. That's been added since I played. Is there a Type 5? Like yeah, just Google it. Anyways, that's my guess. Like
What?
either the Lakon Type 6 or the Cobra Mark III.
Now I'm actually flying a Type 8 transporter.
Oh, okay. So that
I'm up.
is
I'm up to four ships in my fleet now.
yeah, the Type 8 is one that I've never played because it is a more recent addition to the game.
Yeah, and they have the early access for the next ship already in game.
What's the next ship?
The Panther Mark. Uh, hang on. I could. It's some landed. I could look at the community goals. The Panther Clipper, heavy freighter. I've been toying around with the community goals. That's why I actually have some money, or did.
Right. Yeah.
When
Nice.
that goes off, I'll have 100 million though.
Hell yeah. I don't know how much money I have collectively if you put all of my ships and equipment and cash and
Hmm.
everything together. But I will. I mean, I've said this. I need to get my HOTAS out. I prefer like I can play it with a controller or with keyboard and mouse. I
Hmm.
just so prefer to play with my HOTAS. But I'm gonna finish my journey and look at like some community goals and
I'm at where the current community goal is. It's transporting some various materials to a particular station.
yeah,
And the bonus you get a class 5 and class 6 cargo rack pre-engineered with increased cargo capacity, a decal, and credits depending on the success tiers achieved, and individual contribution bonuses. I'm not going to get it, above the D rank, but that's right now 100 million.
yeah.
If I were to push it, maybe with the new ship, I could get the top 75, which will be 150 million. But one contribution, and you're in for 100 million. That's not bad.
Yeah. I'm gonna fire it up and see where I'm at.
Okay, auto launch. That's a lot better. I need a ship name though. I literally just bought this before coming in here.
The Moldy Crow.
Well, whenever I have a set of names, I try to go on theme. So I've reused the theme from Star Trek Online and doing waterways in West Virginia.
Nice.
So I have the Buchanan, I have the Bluestone, and the Armstrong. Well, I'll tell you one thing. This thing flies very differently from my Cobras.
Oh, what's up with the graphics? Why do these look?
Yeah. For some reason, it's set like to 720p, and it was on like medium settings. Well,
Everything looks all washed out and liquidy. Is the only way I can describe what this looks
yeah.
like.
Well, it also compounds shaders.
God damn it! Nope, I don't want to deploy my guns. I just want. What's the right button on the keyboard that lets me open the
Well,
galaxy map? That button.
I actually don't know the button. I'm just looking down at with the head look. What button opens the galaxy map? Because I'm used to the controller.
No, I got it.
Oh no, I was asking you.
Oh, it was space. It was so I did use the head look, and I looked over to the left side to open up the display, and then once I highlighted map, is spacebar.
Mm.
All right, where's the community goal? Colonies. You can manage colonies? What?
Yes.
Well, fuck. I guess I know what I'm doing. Not right now, but
Yeah, you can build colonies.
Yeah, well, I'll be looking at some YouTube videos on that later. Stations, settlements. I guess I should probably put Craig to bed. We finished
Yeah.
story time. Good night, Craig.